Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of MDIC Live, a fireside chat style series where we highlight the latest happenings from within the Medical Device Innovation Consortium and around the medical device industry at large. In our last episode of MDIC Live, we featured the release of the Make Kappa Cool white paper and highlighted MDIC's commitment to quality in manufacturing. Today, MDIC will continue to put a spotlight on quality as we take a deep dive into another one of MDIC's programs looking to drive the culture of quality within the medical device community. For this episode, I'll be joined by MDIC's Advanced Manufacturing Clearinghouse initiative to discuss how this MDIC initiative seeks to encourage the medical device industry to adopt advanced technology across the total product lifecycle. Please give a warm welcome to Joe Sapiente, Vice President of Clinical Sciences and Technology at MDIC, Program Director for Case for Quality and Advanced Manufacturing, Prakash Patwardhan from MDIC, and Program Director for Case for Quality at FDA, Francisco Vicente. Thank you all for joining, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm super excited for today's session. I'm sure you all are too, but before we jump in, I have to remind the folks watching us live from LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook that this is an interactive session. So please feel free to leave your comments and questions for today's guest in the chat. We appreciate your engagement and we'll do our best to get to your questions at the end of today's episode. But in the case that we don't get to your question today, we will follow up with you after the stream. So now that we've gotten some of those housekeeping items out of the way, let's get started, shall we? So Joe, I want to start with you, and I want to continue the conversation around quality and manufacturing that we started during your first appearance here on MDIC Live. Could you reiterate for us why quality and manufacturing are important areas for MDIC to focus on and relate it to today's subject, advanced manufacturing?
Be happy to, Devin, and thanks for setting this up, and good afternoon, everyone. So as Devin mentioned, this is the MDIC Live programming, and if many of you may recall, back at the end of March, we launched the season 2, where we covered quite a bit of information on MDIC and the work we do. And in that presentation, we provided a slide that sort of highlighted sort of the overall mission vision of MDIC, as well as where our work falls into and what we're best suited for. And so when you really start at the top of this slide, you'll see that the work we convene and the stakeholders we engage with are really all focused on higher quality devices, improving the regulatory pathways, expediting time to market, enhancing patient safety and access, and generating better evidence for approvals, faster approval coverage, decisions and utilization decisions. So when you look at the portfolio of the programs that MDIC has today, that's really what we focus on. And so we work with the agency, we work with our stakeholders, we work with many stakeholders across the medical device health network or ecosystem to really drive deliverables and regulatory science tools that cover these areas. And so today's discussion about advanced manufacturing really falls within, as you see, these 4 pillars. So in the quality design and manufacturing, it's really to drive adoption in advanced technologies and processes across the total product lifecycle. And you'll hear more about that today as Cisco and Prakash talk a bit more about the detail of the program. But the value of the advanced manufacturing effort really crosses over not just in quality design and manufacturing, but it also is part of evidence generation. It's also recognizing the digital health technologies and organizations that are dedicated to making investments in improving their overall capabilities in a effective and efficient manner, with the ultimate goal of higher quality and safer products within their manufacturing operation. As I mentioned, our what we do as a public-private partnership, where our stakeholder collaboration is key to our success and the success of these programs. We provide subject matter expertise within the project management portfolio of our projects. Many of you are probably familiar with the working groups that we have across our programs and our projects. And of course, the resources that we provide really fall into that science of regulatory science tools to drive adoption, awareness, and training. And when you think about the advanced manufacturing, it fits very nicely within what we're doing, because we're talking here about a clearinghouse, and you'll hear more about that.
Thank you, Joe, for underlining the value of advanced manufacturing. And I want to bring in Cisco to follow up on that point. And Cisco, I ask, could you back us up a little bit and tell us about what advanced manufacturing is? Just define it for us.
Sure thing. And I think this is you go multiple places and find definitions, right? But they'll probably all be close to in line with this. But for the agency, we've been looking at this as the idea of any process technology, things that are associated even within other industries that can be brought to bear to an existing process and really change the dynamic on there. It's again, not just the technology related piece. It is also that extra new way or new process activities that can be done that will really help move that production, improve the safety, improve the quality of it, improve the yield, improve or optimize other processes within that space. So it's a broad encompassing needle for that.
Thank you. And Prakash, I'm going to invite you to supplement that if you can, and tell us what are some examples of the advanced technologies that we're referring to in this context?
Absolutely. So thanks, Cisco, for kind of defining what advanced technology is. The typical examples of advanced technologies within the manufacturing environment could be AI, ML, that is machine learning, deep learning, digital twin, digital thread. These are some of this is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the technologies which are being used in the manufacturing environment in medical device industries. I think the value for this program is that we want these med device companies to adopt these technologies and take this med device ecosystem to the next level. We have seen adoption of these technologies in aviation, automotive industry, but not to the same extent within the med device ecosystem.
Thank you. And it sounds like this is definitely a robust subject, and the audience at home has gotten a clear picture of kind of what advanced technologies are when we refer to them in this conversation. I want to move us to why. Why are we focusing in this area? And Cisco, I'll start with you and specifically asking, why is FDA focusing on advanced manufacturing?
So yeah, I'll lean on the FDA in a second, but I think it's probably important to note that this isn't just an FDA initiative, right? I think it's a national initiative. It's really being driven by, Congress, the White House. It's something that's been, at the forefront for a little while now, and really became a much higher focus point as COVID hit, right, during the pandemic. The idea and the benefits that come out of manufacturing, not just the capability, the higher quality, and the increased control, but you really can optimize the process bases, production. Right? When we're talking about supply shortages, you really need to lean on these technologies in order to really accelerate what you can do in a manufacturing space. Resilience of that supply chain, right? The advanced technologies enable a lot more connection throughout that entire supply stream. It also makes, I think, a lot of our production case in the United States a lot more competitive, easier to actually bring back and maintain some of that production, especially for some of these critical life science sectors here in the US.
Thank you. And you spoke about it in the beginning of your answer about this is a robust topic, as I mentioned earlier, and there's so many different applications for advanced technologies. For those that are familiar with how it applies in other contexts, talk to us about how the adoption of advanced technologies in the medical device industry compares to others like automotive or aviation.
Sure. Do you want me to take a start at that one? Because I think, and with the help of MDIC and some work that was done, I think, by Siemens Digital Systems, right, we had a landscape analysis done because we were really looking to get a picture of what the industry was utilizing in comparison to all these other sectors. And, the end result of that is that, it's really lagging behind when you talk about what's happening in the manufacturing and the development of aerospace technology, of automotive, of the consumer electronics space, right? they're already moving and leveraging a lot of what these technologies can do in order to make their products better quality, meet their own safety requirements and standards, but also, they're in a very competitive space, right? And so it helps ensure that competition. When you see what it can do in a lot of these other sectors, you have to ask yourself, why wouldn't we be using it in this space here where it's a little more critical?
Right. That's definitely, I think, the question, definitely on something on everyone's mind, how to apply it in the space that they're in, and with the advances that are being made in the technology, how useful it could be in new settings. I definitely think that is an important topic to continue within this conversation as well. Something else I want to discuss is, we talked about the advanced manufacturing piece, but let's move to the clearinghouse portion. And Joe, I'm going to take this to you. What is the role of the clearinghouse within this entire initiative?
So the clearinghouse, we've set it up. It's a portal where we expect and plan to be able to share the examples and the journey that companies have made in implementing some of these tools. And so we've had a lot of conversations with some of our early adopters as we were developing this program, and we're happy to say that we're within this program, within today's event, and a few subsequent events will be formally launching the way to access this product, access the portal. But the whole idea of a clearinghouse is to be able to take the successful practices and describe the journey that organizations have been on, and the investments that they've made, the challenges they had to overcome, and some of the obstacles they had to overcome in being able to implement, whether it's a pilot strategy or it's an enterprise-wide strategy. So as an example, you'll see that we recently published the W.L. Gore paper, which was a description of their journey in manufacturing execution system. And that white paper, or that paper, really details the type of information that we would like to share going forward with any of the participants that are in the program, because one of the things that MDIC has learned over the years, and regardless of whether it's advanced manufacturing or any of our other programs, many of our stakeholders really would like to see those use cases and those stories, and understand, well, I've seen other people do it. What was successful? How did they overcome some of these challenges? And so that's really the value of the clearinghouse, is be able to share those stories and share that journey, if you would. Because when we talk about total product lifecycle, and Prakash had that one slide about the digital transformation, we expect to see, and we have talked to early adopters that have shared their intention to not just talk about the manufacturing operation, but they're also looking at improving their regulatory operation or their quality operation using AI tools for post-market surveillance. So it really is very broad. It's not just advanced manufacturing. It's really across the total product lifecycle. And we expect to be able to share those stories in a way that others can use them as guides, as tools, as almost a mentorship program, where companies that may be struggling or holding off because they've had these obstacles, they can really learn from each other. And that's the value of the clearinghouse portal that we've set up.
Can I add to that a little bit? Because I think that, from an FDA standpoint, and Joe alluded to it, we've seen a lot from several of the activities of the programs that we've engaged with MDIC on, and with the stakeholder base. And really what we found, especially when we're tackling the advanced manufacturing consideration in the med device space, is that there were like three big hurdles usually that we're trying to overcome, right? It's the where do I start and how do I do it, for one. The second one was really the one around, well, how's the FDA going to take it, right? It really is always a question that comes down to what's the regulatory challenge or hurdle that goes along with it. And then the third one was always, how do I sell this to my leadership, right? How do I make a business case for this? Yeah. And as Joe mentioned, with the way the clearinghouse is envisioned to function, we're trying to tackle all those aspects of it with real practical projects, right? So that there is a way to say, here is how you start. We can answer the question of the barrier, the regulatory barrier, because FDA is at the table trying to make sure we understand the impact of any policy we have on how to get things moving. And then, with the output, as was seen with the Gore white papers, here's the value it drove. When you need to go back and make this case at your organization, you've got, at least a path to show you how to get it done. If you need to engage with the agency, here's how you do it. And we can learn from that standpoint and figure out how to clear up our policy. And then the last piece is, here's how I can justify and make the case for the capability and the investment.
And I'm glad you mentioned some of the questions that people have when they learn more about the clearinghouse portion, because one of the questions that I actually have for you is, what is the role of the computer software assurance guidelines within AMCH? That's something that we hear a lot.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about that?
It's one of the things, and as I mentioned beforehand, when we tried to learn what the right policies are to help move some of these along, early on in our journey around quality, even before the clearinghouse was envisioned, we noticed that there was this lack of investment in technology in the medical device space. And when we really dug into why that was the case, the one singular factor that came out of that to begin with was the validation burden of the technologies, something that I think from an agency standpoint, we never intended. So we learned very quickly that if we truly wanted to have companies adopting more of this technology, we needed to clear whatever the misunderstanding was around that. So that that CSA guidance work is really that initial policy to help clear some of that. Really, it was perceived very early on, but I know there was no additional clarity around it. To bringing these technologies in a way that is still robust, but lean, more effective for the organization, and not a issue where the problem was the perception that the regulator didn't want technology being utilized. So it's the foundational piece.
Yeah, I just like to add to that the CSA program is also something that really benefited from and leveraged use cases where people had demonstrated how well it works and how much more efficient it can be, and how while it may be a little intimidating at first to think about taking a different approach to verification and validation of your software systems, this program, even prior to the guidance document, had always shown some real success in efficiencies, effectiveness, and even cost-effective approaches. So I think advanced manufacturing is similar in that way, that we're talking about efficiencies, effectiveness, as well as cost-effective, and that's that piece that Cisco mentioned on the ROI, being able to demonstrate that how this investment may be an initial investment, but there's a cost-effectiveness and there's going to be a return on investment from taking this journey.
Thank you guys both for the thoroughness of your answers, and definitely for underlining rather the value of advanced manufacturing throughout this conversation. I want to take us to Prakash to give us an overview of the application for the clearinghouse itself. But before we do, I want to give everyone in the chat a reminder. We are taking questions and comments in the comment section. So please feel free to leave your comments or questions for today's guest in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the show. So as promised, Prakash, I'm going to turn it to you, and we'll shift gears and tell us a little bit more about how do you apply to be a part of the clearinghouse, and kind of what the eligibility requirements look like there.
Absolutely. Thanks, Devon. And so when we say that MDIC is launching Advanced Manufacturing Clearinghouse program, and we are inviting med device companies to participate, what does it mean? I mean, how do the med device company can become part of this program? So on MDIC website, there is a link available where the med device companies can apply for this program. When I say apply, the application process involves a description of your project, and then details of the project execution. And also there are some legal documents that we want to make sure that the med device companies feel comfortable sharing their confidential information if they want to as a part of this project, that by having those legal documents in place, we are saving both the parties. Once the project is submitted, There is a selection team comprising of members from FDA as well as from MDIC. We also do invite some subject matter experts depending on the technology involved, and then the project is evaluated. And the evaluation process goes through and looks at the project through these 4 lenses that you see on the screen. So first is project impact, second is scope, third is result, and last is rigor. So project impact, we are looking at how does the project impact those 4 things: patient safety, product quality, compliance, and process efficiency. As a part of scope, so when we talked about impact across total product life cycle, so we want to understand the project that you are planning to execute, the pilot that you are planning to execute. After successful implementation, are you planning to execute it across the total product life cycle or different manufacturing facilities? So that's where that scope comes in. The results, as it says, how do you define the success of the program? What are those key parameters that you are trying to improve? What are those baselines? And then how are you going to sustain those results over a period of time? Rigor is basically the quality of execution of the project. So those are the 4 projects that we look at, and we evaluate the project based on that. Now, which are the companies that can apply for this particular project? So this program is open to all med device companies that are planning to introduce those medical device where this project will be executed to US market. So product design meant for US market, those companies with those projects can apply for this funding. The level of funding is up to 30% of overall project cost, not exceeding $300,000. So, and there is a process for distributing those funds. Within that program, once the project is approved for funding, we are not mandating how you would spend that fund in which part of the project, whether it's for buying a solution platform, you're planning to buy some machines. It's up to the med device companies to manage that project. The only thing that we are expecting in return, as Joe mentioned, under Clearinghouse, is share your success story, share your experience of executing the project so that we can share with the rest of the med device companies. So we all learned from these pilots and these projects.
Thank you for that overview of the application process. And I just want to make sure that we highlight within that some of the things that you mentioned, or everyone has mentioned during this conversation, most notably the Gore white paper, the Road to Advanced Manufacturing white paper, and some of the websites and overview information that you all have discussed during this conversation. I want to make sure everyone at home has the opportunity to scan the QR codes and learn more about any of the initiatives you've heard here today, or visit any of the links you see here on your screen. And of course, for more information, feel free to contact amch@mdic.org to learn more about the application process or any of the eligibility requirements.
Hey, Devon, if I may, so Advanced Manufacturing Clearinghouse program, it has been in works for a considerable time. And today, MDIC and with Cisco, we are so excited to share and launch this program. MDIC is honored to execute this program. The medical device, all med device companies, they have been on journey to drive the continuous improvement in some shape or form, leveraging Lean, Six Sigma, and other improvement technologies. And but you can drive improvement up to a level. Now, if you want to take it to the next level and you want to drive that paradigm shift in the way that you develop new med devices and make sure that you reduce that time to market, you accelerate innovation, and then just like Cisco mentioned, in the backdrop of COVID, having that agility to bring those products onshoring fast, while making sure that you are delivering safe, effective, and compliant med devices, it's important that the med device companies need to adopt these advanced technologies. And we have seen that Joe mentioned the benefits of that. That not only adds to the bottom line of the med device companies, but it also improves the operational and quality KPIs. And so I feel that MDIC is uniquely placed to drive this program, because the way MDIC brings the agency, the regulators, the med device companies, the other stakeholders, the subject matter experts, in a trusted, innovative, collaborative, inclusive environment. So I'm looking forward to the med device companies participating in this program, and I'm so excited to be driving this program.
Thank you, Prakash, for those motivational closing comments. And I invite Cisco or Joe, do either of you want to add to that and tell us more about the implications of this AMCH launch?
So I'll go ahead, and then again, similar to Prakash's comments, I do want to thank the partnership that we've had with the agency and with Cisco around the development of the Advanced Manufacturing Clearinghouse, the strategy, the governance, the things that Prakash mentioned about the process when it comes to how to apply, how the programs will be evaluated, and how do they go across the total product life cycle. So we're very excited about the opportunity to have conversations with organizations across the medical device industry that are willing to make this investment. And it's an investment on their part, right? It's not only in people and resources, but that technology that they have to also make an investment in to be able to go on this journey. And so we're happy to help facilitate that journey along with FDA as a partner. I just want to mention also that we have a QA summit or a quality summit coming up in June, the 19th and 20th of June, where not only some of the quality initiatives that we have will be discussed, but we'll have a deeper dive into the advanced manufacturing session as well. So the folks that are interested in learning more about it in person or virtually can also participate in that. But as Prakash mentioned, we're really excited about this. We've been on this journey. We've been anxious to get started, and I think we are now at a point where we're in really good position to take on applications, and we hope to see applications from a variety of sizes of organizations, and not just those organizations that have a lot of resources to make this journey, but also looking for some of those smaller organizations that might be a little hesitant to do this. But as mentioned, that some of the incentives around us being able to subsidize the cost of the project might help be an incentive for some of these smaller companies to come to us and really demonstrate their capability, their flexibility, and their adaptability in this program. So we're really excited about it. And again, thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about it today. Cisco?
Yeah, I think that you guys stated it both. It's really exciting. It's finally here. It's launching. It's active. People can go in and apply now. And we're really excited to see from an agency standpoint, how people proceed, right? We've seen some early things coming in, and it's really impressive, I think, where industry can quickly start moving and really implementing and driving the needle and the benefit and impact it brings. Yes, it's great in terms of its business ad, but from an FDA standpoint, right, you can even see the direct translation very quickly to what is our mission, right? How do we advance that patient safety? How do we advance innovation around that space? So, I'm just, even with what we've seen so far, really excited. I look forward to what comes down the road. And I think as Joe mentioned, right, this is not something that is only exclusive to large companies, right? I think there's a lot of benefit and opportunity within the small to medium-sized company space, and oftentimes they can move a little faster in that sense. So I'd be very curious to see how it applies there. One of the points of all this is to really reiterate the fact that we as an agency are really behind the notion of these technologies being utilized and trying to advance their use in the manufacturing space. And I think our commitment here as part of Clearinghouse hopefully will show that and bring more of the people to the table.
I echo everyone's sentiments in saying I'm excited to see what's next for the Advanced Manufacturing Clearinghouse. You all definitely presented a lot of valuable points in this 30-minute session alone. So I want to thank you all for providing such valuable input and for sharing your expertise with us here this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Devin.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And so for those of you that are joining us live from LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I want to thank you for watching. For any more information on the Advanced Manufacturing Clearinghouse, please don't hesitate to visit mdic.tech/AMCH for more information about the program itself, for links to the application, and for information on where you can contact the team. That's it for this episode of MDIC Live. Thank you all again, and until next time, I'm signing off. Bye.